My name is Matt McCullough, and I'm the National Sales Manager at Aldermore Bank. And today, I'm going to be talking about the private rental sector in a post-COVID-19 world. I'm going to cover 3 key points today, which is the now, the current risks in the buy-to-let market, the how we're navigating the current challenges, and the what next for the buy-to-let industry in the future. There's going to be 4 key learning outcomes for today's session. Understanding the current challenges and the risks that we face, planning ahead for a successful case and also a successful buy-to-let business, identifying areas of opportunity in the market and your own business planning, and looking to potentially adopt some new working practices. Where I will start is, where is the market right now? So behind me, you'll see some data flip onto the screen. These are just some of the key highlights that have been talked about in the industry press over the past weeks and months that highlight some of the key areas of constraint we're under at the moment as part of the economy. What you can see though, and where I'll start, is the 1.9 million payment holidays that have been granted so far. That's a phenomenal number, but what really does please me in some way is that the buy-to-let section of that is just under 260,000. Small in comparison, albeit, the number's still high. It is pleasing to see that many landlords are adopting the contingencies for voids that they've set out from the start of their landlord business planning journey and seeing them come through this difficult time. And actually 44% of landlords that carried out a survey on behalf of the NRLA said that they've proactively helped their tenants during this time by deferring rent, stopping it altogether, and even scrapping fees and charges that were relevant to the current AST agreement they had there today. That's a real good news story. What I want to be clear though is there are still some risks over the horizon that we need to be aware of. First things first, 1 in 2 renters in the UK are aged between 16 and 34. So residential landlords are unfortunately more heavily exposed to people falling into financial distress at a younger age. Also, nearly half of over the 2.8 million retail workers in the UK today are between the same age bracket. Now, unfortunately, many of these are facing furlough or even redundancy at this point. So rent could be a struggle, in particular in the higher end areas such as London and the South East. Unfortunately, more than 1 in 3 18 to 24-year-olds are earning less than before the outbreak, and 1.7 million renters, that's 1 in 5, in England, expect to lose their job in the next 3 months. So, whilst it's not fantastic news, we just need to be aware of the risks that are here moving forward. But also, we need to just take a little time to reflect on how we've adapted to some of the challenges that we've faced previously. Now, I'm going to go over 3 things next, which will show you exactly how we've adapted to these as lenders and brokers. And I'm going to cover 3 key areas. Bringing back physical valuations, what that looks like next. An in-depth look at landlords' finances. That's what lenders will need to adapt to next. And also as brokers, we should get closer to that. And the landlord's business plan and portfolio review, where we can identify risks, but also plan for some fantastic opportunities. First things first, I'm going to show you a short video clip on how our valuers today are carrying out physical valuations, what risks they need to identify first, and the plans that need to be put in place. So please, take a look and enjoy. enjoyed that. That's just a short animation that tells you exactly how the days of instruct and book are well behind us from evaluations for the very near future, and maybe for the long-term future as well. And it just paints the picture on what processes need to be adapted to ensure that we can do some safe physical valuations. It goes without saying, though, that one key point around that is that if it's not possible to carry out a physical valuation, many lenders in the market today are still navigating around this by offering remote surveys where the criteria would fit. Next, we're going to look at an in-depth look at landlords' finances. So why is it that lenders and brokers need to be clear with this, need to be really on board with how people are now going to start looking deeper into this? Here's the main factor. We all know that most buy-to-let lenders prior to COVID-19 didn't really concern themselves too much around personal income for their experienced landlords. Because let's face it, the securities are backed by the rent, and they're always, sub 80% in main areas. So from a risk point of view, it's always been quite lenient. Moving forward, lenders and brokers need to be very clear on landlords' personal income circumstances, because lenders are going to start looking at this in more detail to ensure that if there is an apparent risk of voids, people have sufficient income to plug them gaps and also mitigate them circumstances that could affect them in the future. Lenders were looking closely at that. Brokers should really do that too. But also getting deeper into their employment situation. Whilst the income might look strong, is the employment secure or self-employment? Have they had to stop trading in their current line of work? Again, things that you probably wouldn't have really worried too much about for an experienced landlord before is now going to come to the forefront to most lenders. And it goes without saying that if someone is going to experience voids, or they do anticipate a short period of time where a property isn't tenanted, whilst the portfolio and the business plan that you would have supplied may well have covered all the contingencies for them voids, lenders will be now asking for evidence to support that. Aldermore provided a really quick crib sheet that we ask for on every single application now to help with this, and it gets you into the rhythm of having these discussions with landlords day one. Really straightforward one-page document that covers the rental income details, asking questions such as, has your tenant been impacted by COVID-19? If so, how does it impact your rental income? And what plans do you have in place to face an extended rental void or shortfalls from payments? And also a section around your personal income details. How has your personal income been affected? If it has, how? What are you earning now? And if not, fantastic, just let us know and move forward. We just want to understand what risks that a landlord's open to in the current market. So while that's going to be a real strong point to try and drive people who are literally being affected by COVID-19 negatively today, lenders like ourselves will still lend to them people, so long as there's robust contingencies in place. Lastly, we're going to look at the landlord's business plan and portfolio review. And why are we getting deeper into the detail with this? Well, here's where we start. Most lenders in the current market will ask for a business plan and a portfolio schedule, similar to the ones that you've just seen bounce on the screen there. These are normally asked for portfolio landlords only. However, during this time, most lenders, ourselves at Aldermore definitely so, will be asking for this for all buy-to-let landlords. Because we want to get a closer look in terms of what people are looking to plan for moving forward. And also, just so we've got documented evidence of what the current portfolio looks like, even if they are a non-portfolio landlord, because they could still be exposed to 8 properties, but because they're not mortgaged potentially, does then not class them as portfolio. So we still need to take them risks into consideration. But use this as a real key opportunity to sit down with your landlords and discuss certain things, like reviewing the risks. Here's an example of a real key risk in the current climate. A portfolio, let's make a scenario up, of 6 properties, all really robust, standard 4-person ASTs let to individual students. Previously, that would have been a really robust, sustainable, and a high demand letting opportunity. In the current climate, with education being halted, and universities and higher education even stating that a lot of their continued education, maybe for the long-term future, could even now be more remote-based and more digital. That could really put the student-let market at risk. So have a little think about if them risks are apparent in the portfolio and try and plan for them. By planning appropriately, what that then does for you is gives you a real robust business plan so that actually yourself and the landlord can plan for the future to mitigate some risks that are there, but also still continue the desired portfolio growth that your landlord would continue to want today. And that's the point where you would look to diversification. There's plenty of opportunities that are in the market currently, and have been for a while, where landlords are now diversifying elements of their portfolio, de-risking certain areas or growing certain ones that have been more profit and more prominent. So have a look at that, get closer to it, and plan for the future during this time. Lenders will start to ask for all these documents now up front, so use them to you and your landlord's benefit. So there are 3 key areas of how we're currently navigating around these issues, but how we're still looking to proactively support landlords during this pandemic. Next, I want to move on to some opportunities that I personally see in the market moving forward. And they are corporate lets, holiday lets, the remortgage market, and digital with a question mark. And I'll tell you why shortly. First things first though, why corporate lets? Well, a corporate let is simply an AST to a corporate entity. Why is that a potential opportunity in the future? Well, it's potentially seen as an effective, more guaranteed way of payment. Housing associations, larger PLCs, more security in paying the rent. It is easier to manage that tenancy, and it's also a smoother letting transaction for all. It does come with its cons though. Bear in mind that a company tenancy agreement can be difficult to negotiate. Let's not get away from the fact it's a B2B discussion this. So there will be some negotiations needed. But also the occupants can change without the approval of a landlord, in particular the housing association lets. So for those landlords that do like the personal approach, that is something that you would lose, but potentially for more of a secure gain. Next, I'm going to talk about holiday lets. Why are these more important? Why are these a next opportunity in the market? Well, they've been rising for a while, but actually, experts believe there's going to be a boom in staycations. What's a staycation, you ask? It's just a weekend away, a holiday in the UK. Very simple. If you like golf and you want to take a 4-day golfing holiday to Portugal, you can't in the current climate, so why not do it in Dorset? This area of the market is believed to be a vastly growing area due to various different reasons. Firstly, the pandemic will unfortunately make people stay back at home if they are at risk of travel. Currently, we're not allowed to travel, but also the people that would like to stay in their bubbles. By bubbles, close family and friends, those that have been self-isolating together for a while. Essentially, the people that want to spend the most time together, they can travel together. So those that are at high risk of the COVID-19 pandemic can travel, stay, and enjoy a holiday together. But for the landlord, fantastic yield, between 7 and 10%, and that does get higher with your higher developments that are out there in the market. So bear that in mind when you're talking about diversification in the future. The remortgage market is something that will continue to be the staple of all of our buy-to-let diets. There's plenty of areas here which keeps this buy-to-let market moving every single day. And here are a few. Debt consolidation. It's always been an area that's been supported over the years. However, our landlords are now going to look closely at their personal income and expenditure and try and use their portfolio to carefully consolidate debt where appropriate to make outgoings even more manageable. Security improvements. Not just to your current buy-to-let portfolio for obvious reasons to try and grow the yield from a more desirable property, but think about landlords that have got commercial exposure potentially. Because let's face it, you've probably seen in the news that the city centres that are normally highly populated, some of the commercial developments there have been overrun by vermin because it's been empty. There's been no population walking the streets for months. So these now need more work done to them, to tidy them, to get them pat tested, to get them ready to use. That's another area of improvements that landlords might have to look into and use mortgages to drive that forward. The next point is portfolio growth. It goes without saying that people still want to grow their portfolio. If you did take detail on the second slide we've shown you today, it would have shown you that 3% of landlords are being very opportunistic to try and get that bargain post the COVID pandemic, where properties may have had to reduce in price to sell, and therefore they would be looking for a quick gain. Portfolio growth is where that happens. Remortgaging current equity to fund the onward purchases is a massive area of buy-to-let, with many lenders continuing to support today. And all of which can still be used in the main with top slicing. So remember, people still, landlords and brokers, would like to go back to that pre-2016 2-year model, where we could be more flexible, refresh the approach every 2 years, rather than default to the 5-year approach for the affordability reasons. Top slicing still works. Many lenders still offer it, so use it to help your landlords grow their business. And lastly, digital, with a question mark. If I was to look into a crystal ball, you would have definitely bought shares in the app, Zoom, Microsoft Teams, Google Hangouts. Just today, this event is digital. We're no longer face-to-face for the foreseeable. But where are the benefits? Well, events, BDM meetings, many more could be on your desktop. Easy to attend, easy to gain more knowledge, and far more easier to speak to your BDMs during this time. But also, think of the cost and time savings to your business. How many times have you done that late night trip to go meet your clients to collect documentation, do a fact find that has had to work around both of yours and your landlord's work-life balance, when actually hosting a Zoom meeting or digital conference call may be the way forward to save time, but also be a massive cost benefit to your business as an intermediary. And also, let's not forget that lenders are also adapting to the digital world with quicker and slicker applications, with digital signatures, easier way to certify documentation, and many more digital areas to allow you easier access to products than ever before. And so let's have a quick reminder of how advisors can now help their landlords out of this pandemic and into a vibrant buy-to-let market. Get under the skin of your client's application so all the information is ready for lenders day one. Understand the client's portfolio and the finances to increase their future opportunities and also de-risk in areas which could be high at risk at the moment. And provide landlords with sound advice, friendly, business-like advice to help build relationships and become an indirect business partner for them landlords in the future. I hope you've enjoyed that today. Thank you very much for listening to me. I really appreciate it. If you do have any questions whatsoever, please drop them in the chat. I'll feel free to answer them for you. If not, have a fantastic day, and I'm sure I'll see you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.